Okay, guys, like with all my videos, I am going to be very passionate about this because this has been waiting. This has been what every female who has been standing up for other females and trying to tell them, hey, I understand that transgenders, men, well, I should say men who are confused, I understand you want them to have a safe space, but you cannot allow them to take over our spaces and include themselves in the definition of what it is to be woman, because you will end up building resentment in men who basically hate women who don't believe that they are women. A man will never be a woman, okay? If hell breaks loose and a nuclear war goes out and magically somehow all of us decide to, or the few that are left decide to build, rendezvous in some sort of bunker to survive and hunker down and possibly populate this the planet after this, it's safe to come above ground. Guess what? Your manufacturing centers that produce your estrogen, it will no longer exist. You will realize as a confused man, you will never bear children. If it wasn't for the greatest feat in science, biological science, to make this happen for you, without that being produced so that you can take your daily fucking injections, you will always be a fucking man. I don't care what any woman has to say, and I will say this again. The greatest equalizer is a fucking gun. Women is supposed to be there for all of us, not just men, but also for us. And when you have men who are so brazen to tell the world, and no fucking politician will stand up and say this, I promise you, women, this is not a society in which you want to live, in which men become so offended, confused gay men become so offended that they go on to protest decapitating actual women who stand up for women's rights, who see time after time that it's women who are being trampled over when it comes to our rights. It's women who opportunities are being taken away from them. I will never, from now on, I'm sorry if a lot of my videos now are going to be talking about this transgender shit. And here's the craziest thing. I used to like before I get on to this video, here's the thing that really rattles my fucking mind. This thing really rattles my fucking brain. How is it that these fucking gay, confused men don't understand? If it wasn't for women, us, you wouldn't even be seen into society. Because I'm going to tell you what happened. Women who had you as your secret friend, they told their husbands. You know how the saying that men are the structure and women have the ear? It was women who talked to their husbands to try to formulate, legislations and laws to help you be seen in society. And this is your fucking payback to us? This is the time, women, where we get up and we stand up and defend our rights. Unless you are a transgender who is on social media, who has explicitly spoken their views about this. I no longer can have transgenders as my friend because I don't even know, new transgenders, I don't even know how you really are, how you can really even express, how you are unless you express these things. Because guess what? Women are being targeted in Scotland when it comes to standing up for other women. Okay? With our heads being cut off. This is some shit you see in fucking Middle East crap. And this is the dangers that will happen. I don't give a shit what anyone says. I will not capitulate to any fucking form of patriarchy. And this right here should frighten every fucking woman out there who want these fucking retards to be in our fucking space. Like I said, it's one thing for a transgender to know the difference and to understand that and try very hard to never take our rights and our opportunities away from us. Those transgenders who know that and still seek out and go out into the world and say, I'm going to put on my face. This is what I know. This is what I believe. And yes, I may be in another, I may be taking medicine and all this other stuff to show how I really feel on the outside, but I know that there's a difference. Those transgenders, I will defend you to the day I die. But the other fuckers think you are better than women? And then ask yourself, why is it that these countries, they always talk shit about America when it comes to how we can buy weapons. Imagine being in a country in which men, confused men, think they have a right to tell a woman, you shouldn't be standing up for a woman, and feel so brazen to want to cut off our fucking heads for saying that. And they don't want you to have a gun to defend yourself against those who will come after you to do that. They call us crazy for having the ability to own a gun, to purchase a gun. But you have countries in Europe that are so fucking socialist and over their fucking heads, they're so fucking far gone that they have recessed. They have recessed morally, common sense wise, they have recessed to this barbarism. And what this story is so under the radar. Women in the West, please wake up. Do not let these types of transgenders into your space. They don't care about equality. They don't want equality. They want your opportunity, your space. Think of this as colonization. They want to change the way that you perceive, how you are even perceived in society. Okay? This is what colonizing does. No one colonizes a place that has zero opportunity. Understand that. Name any place that didn't have resources and opportunity that someone decided to just colonize and turn all the people and to make them believe everything that they want and everything that their values, their morality, all of that, their religion, all of that. Because this LGBT crap is a religion. That is what colonization is, okay? No one goes and pillage something that doesn't have resources. And the one thing that women take for granted is our opportunity. We cry and complain about things where men would see them as easy opportunities and would snatch that up in a fucking heartbeat. Because believe it or not, we as women have it easier in society than a fucking man. If you don't believe me, ask the transgender swimmers that went from 400 and something in the rankings to number 1 on the women's side. Without further ado, let's get into this. I am so fucking heated about this.
9:42 is the time. Now I want to talk about things rather more immediate, and that is whether or not it's acceptable for Scottish MPs, Scottish National Party MPs and MSPs, to stand at a demonstration for gender self-ID in front of signs saying decapitate TERFS. Yes, cut the heads off women who believe that biology is a real thing. Well, let's talk to Helen Joyce. She's Director of Advocacy at Sex Matters, but she's also author of the brilliant book Trans, When Ideology Meets Reality. Good morning to you, Helen.
Hi, Julia. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I mean, this is the key thing. This is when ideology does meet reality. This is not the first time, and it won't be the last time, where these demonstrations, supposedly pro-trans, always end up seeming to me to have at least a certain percentage of people, sometimes quite a lot of people, who actually want nothing but violence against women, standing up for women's safety.
Well, the central demand, gender self-ID, is that anyone is whatever sex they are, and that is automatically and immediately harmful to women. And so the very next act is to tell women to shut up. And if women won't shut up, you try to threaten them into silence.
And who does that better than men? Men, that has been the hallmark for men for eons. This is the one thing we have been complaining about forever. And yet we were willing to just turn over our fucking... We're willing to just let that all go because a few men say that they identify as a female. And when you don't agree with them, this is what they do to you. This is what they think about you. And honestly, if you, every single time I play this in my head, I cannot help but think about this. Okay? And then I'll let this continue. I'll let this video play and I won't say a thing. When you look at the Middle East and you look at the Muslims and all this other stuff and how we have always have said, everyone in society have known transgenders have been around, or I should say these type of individuals who are confused in the head have been around forever. There is a reason why they never, ever were given such power in society, because it turns everything on its head. Up is down, left is right, woman is man. And if you say anything, even though we have made strides for women's rights, if you say anything, well, it gives us the right to kill you, stone you. And I can't help but think, when I look at the Muslim faith, was it always like this? When did at one point did society become so bad in the Muslim world that men had to say, hey, we need to start protecting our women? And then because of that, they became so overbearing. Is it because you had these fucking fucktards running in your society, thinking that they can do whatever as they want and please to women? Because just from looking and hearing, I mean, unless you're of a Muslim faith, please explain to me. I'm like, I can't help but think that maybe this has something to do with it. Is this a reason why your faith does not allow such things to run rampant, such notions, such lunacy to run rampant in your society or your culture? Is this a reason why there's none of that there? Or I should say very little of that, even allowed? Because this is where we at. This is where we have come to, where men, you want to talk about your toxic masculinity. This right here is a form of toxic masculinity that you do not need, that you do not want. You want the masculine, that tough masculinity, to put these types of fuckers in their place. Because that right there, those transgender women who are essentially men, that right there is a toxic masculinity that will kill women. And guess who fostered that type of mentality? Was it men? No, it wasn't men, straight masculine men who even let you even have that society and that thought in society. It probably would have shunned you away and say you're not a real man. It was women who let you fester these types of ideas and thinking that you are a woman. It's women who allowed that. And now it's women that you're coming after when we say that, hey, we allowed you to do this, but you're essentially not a man. You're essentially a man. You're never going to be a woman. So, to all those women out there who still in America don't think guns are your friend, it is the greatest equalizer. Because I promise you this. An army of men with machetes. An army of gay, confused, transgender men, women, weak men, aka, with an army of machetes, will be powerless against women with AR-15 rifles that can shoot a bitch down from 250 yards away. Fuck that. Even go on to 500 yards away. This is the power a gun will give you. Okay? Now back to these fuckers.
So it's actually at the heart of this movement. It's not some fringe. Okay, so there are people who don't put it as nastily, but the central demand is women shut up. So Nicola Sturgeon did condemn that sign. She wasn't at the protest, but she did condemn it. But she also said that she condemned the way that it was expressed. So I'd like to know how you express decapitate TERFs in a way that is less offensive.
Girl, I agree with girlfriend. I agree right along with you. Speak it, girl. Speak it.
Yeah, it is quite bizarre, isn't it? And again, it seems to be so much more acceptable. If anyone on our side of the debate, arguing for women's and girls' safety to be paramount, I mean, we'd be cancelled. Let's be honest, but that seems to be acceptable. There's been some reports on the Guido Fawkes website about a senior aide-in advisor in Keir Starmer's office, Matthew Doyle, who's been at the heart of Labour for a very, very long time, basically talking about Rosie Duffield, Labour MP, who's been speaking out on these issues and being really very, very dismissive of her, and basically basically saying she needs to stop having lunch with J.K. Rowling.
Oh, and these are the people who say, "Oh, believe all women." This is the tolerant left that says, "Believe all women," and then the same left does nothing except for, I don't like the tone in which you said decapitate TERFs.
More time in her constituency, and this very dismissive attitude being really permeating throughout certainly Labour politics. It does appear that women are being told basically, shut up, stop talking about this issue.
I mean, we saw it last week in Parliament when Rosie Duffield and some other politicians like Miriam Cates spoke very movingly and very calmly and accurately, concisely, using facts about the threat that gender self-ID in Scotland poses to women and children all over the UK, in Scotland, but right across the UK. And people like Lloyd Russell Moyle, completely disgusting rant that should have seen him thrown out of the chambers and forced to apologise.
And trying to physically intimidate Tory MP.
That's right, moving over to sit beside her. You know, women like Rosie Duffield have experienced domestic violence and have experienced coercive control. And when Rosie Duffield spoke about that some years ago in Parliament, she got a standing ovation. And now she's saying that as a woman who has experienced domestic violence, she is explaining that these plans are a threat. And instead now she is being, cancelled, being threatened, being abused, being tried to silence, basically. People saying...
And if you're a woman who goes along with this, please note, just like with everything in human nature, you're working against yourself. You are essentially a woman too. And whether or not you stand up for other women who are defending all women, not men who are confused, okay? Not men who think that, hey, I transitioned into a woman, yeah, now I'm a woman. No. Understand, those same transgenders that are using you to push this, you're next. Everyone throughout history who has gone up against something that is very immoral, those individuals always get their up and comings. So if you're going to be there to help women who are doing nothing but fighting for other women to have an opportunity, you need to support them, or else your head's going to be on the chopping block next. By who? The very same people you're defending. This has happened time after time after time again. Not this situation in particular, but the essence of groups who use other groups to push their agenda. How they divide that group to take a part of that group to push their agenda, all while turning on this very same people who are in that group. Okay? You're going to be next. And then I'm pretty sure the women who were TERFs who then became silent, they're not going to stand up on your behalf. Or maybe those who are idealistic like me probably would. But hey,
she shouldn't have her seat. So it's so incredibly hypocritical, and it is within Labour, but it's within all the parties. The Conservatives have been strongest on this, but some people inside the Conservative Party are also women haters.
I mean, and that's the thing, it is just misogyny, isn't it? It's quite bizarre this happens. I mean, again, we've had Keir Starmer's office denying that anyone's briefed against Rosie Duffield, but folks have got Matthew Doyle on audio. They actually got him on tape. They've got a recording of him briefing against her, and I understand that he's also briefed. It's also been briefed in sort of rather stronger words than have actually already been published, and talking about how she is unhinged. Now, quite clearly, Rosie Duffield is not unhinged. Why is it that when women speak out, they're difficult, or they're mad, or hysterical?
This is something that men have been literally doing for a very long time. Back in the day when I remember when looking up how men would classify periods and all this other time during that, the time of the month where women go, men devised PMS and all this made up, I wouldn't say made up, but they came up with these words that would try to explain their moods, right? And one of them was hysteria. What do they blame a woman's hysteria on? Oh, her emotions. She just needs this. She just needs that. Just teach her to shut up and all this other stuff. This has been perpetrated by just straight men in general for a very long time. The last thing I want to hear this from is, gay men. But anyways, that's just my take on this. This is really disgusting, and it's such an underrated video that news segment that should be talked about a lot more, because I feel like if more women actually heard this, people would stand up against it. But anyways, have a good day and bye.
Because we're saying things that men don't want to hear.
Well, some men,
Specifically the men who want
most men. No, I think.